Today's First Alert afternoon weather update is brought to you by Lockhart Roofing.
Good afternoon. First Alert meteorologist Diane Phillips here. We are going to be talking about our little taste of spring that we have on the way. We're also going to be highlighting the weekend, considering it is Valentine's Day weekend, so you probably have some plans, or maybe if that's just the reminder, then you're going to want to find out the forecast so you can start making plans. So that's what we're going to be talking about here today. So far, we've been trying to bring you a little bit of sunshine. You're going to find that we have just a little bit of it here on our Vehicle City Harley-Davidson camera, sponsored by Wallside Windows. A lot of us have been seeing the clouds, though, kind of winning out compared to that sunshine, but at least we have a little bit of it. So you may find in some parts of mid-Michigan that you're enjoying more of that sunshine compared to other portions. So if you're not getting enough sun, feel free to go for a drive today. Roadways are nice and dry, so you won't have any issues getting around mid-Michigan. As we do take a look at our conditions outside, we are going to see that we have the sun, so that means after school that we are going to be finding that we still have some sun, a little bit of cloud cover hanging around yet, so if you're going to be picking up the kids at the bus stop or even just from practice that happens after school, then you may find that you have a little more cloud cover. So again, we're going to just continue that pattern here for the next couple of hours, going back and forth. We will have temperatures that are still pretty seasonal, hovering right around 30 degrees. We have seen some locations getting a little bit warmer than that, but we have found overall that a lot of our temperatures are only going to be reaching 30 degrees. We had highs in Clio at 30, same for Montrose, Schwartz Creek. We are forecasting 30 degrees in Victor, Ovid, and even 29 for Deerfield, Columbiaville, and in Metamora. So we are going to be finding that our temperatures are also going to be remaining just a touch cooler into the thumb. You can see a lot of these are going to be into the mid to upper 20s. We have 28 though for Brown City and in Speaker. We have Parisville at 25, same for Delaware. We're also seeing 26 for Caseville, 28 in Unionville and Fairgrove, and then 29 in Vassar. So you can see kind of coming into the Tri-Cities that we get closer towards 30 degrees. We continue to see that closer towards Wheeler, Merrill, coming in towards Ashley. We still have 30 degrees. Same for Wynn. Coming in towards Rosebush, we're up to 31. And even kind of as we head north along 75 and 127, you're going to see that we were forecasting highs to be coming in around Higgins Lake at 27. Same for Roscommon, even 29 there, coming in a little bit closer towards Meredith. But we have 30 degrees there for Beaverton, Gladwin, and even coming in towards Mills. Now towards the Lakeshore, we have that high forecasted for Aranac at 30 degrees, same for All Gray, 31 in Whittemore, and then 29 in Oscoda. Current air temperature, as you can see, we're pretty close to those highs today. Maybe just a couple of degrees more is all we will be picking up. So you can see we're currently in Bad Axe, we're at 23. Same for Port Sanilac, we're at 25 in Caro. We have 28 right now in Flint, 29 at MBS Airport for Saginaw, and 30 degrees in Midland. Now we do have 26 for Gladwin, 27 for Clare, 33 though for Mount Pleasant. Mount Pleasant's been running warm here, so we have been finding their numbers to be a little bit on the more warmer side compared to a lot of other locations. But as we travel further north, you can see Houghton Lake reporting 26, and we have 24 into Tawas. Now, we've been talking about this even since the beginning of the week, that we've been eyeing those 40s to be coming in. So we're still first alerting you that that little taste of spring is on the way. I'm going to call it just a little taste because it'll probably give you some vibes, especially after the Arctic air that we've had here through January and into February, that it's going to feel a little bit more spring-like. But still, 40s isn't totally a transition into spring, but we are going to be first alerting you that a stretch of some more mild air is coming in. We're going to be seeing potentially 5 days or more that we will be tracking those 40s to be coming into the forecast. So today's kind of our last cooler day. We will be headed back into the upper 30s, 40s tomorrow. So I'm kind of calling Friday our transition day. And then really into the weekend, we get settled into that warm up. You're going to be finding that we have lower 40s, mid 40s coming up. Even next week, we're going to continue to see those conditions to be on the more mild side. As we take this live look outside, again, we can see some sunshine coming here or there, but overall conditions have been pretty quiet. But we will find on our sky tracker that we do have quiet weather here across the state. It's been pretty quiet, no green, no blue on radar, so we're happy to see that. Of course, our satellite, though, has kind of been here and there with the cloud coverage, zooming in a little bit closer. You can just see those clouds have been kind of building here throughout Saginaw, Genesee, Lapeer counties, some of them even coming in closer towards Owasso. And the other thing that you're also going to notice is that there's some clouds on here that aren't moving. Well, that's actually the snow. So on clear days or kind of some days like this where we can kind of see down to the ground, satellite can pick up that snow. So it looks like cloud cover on here, but it just isn't moving. So it's actually snow that's on the ground. That's why it looks like that we have a pile of clouds that are into the inner bay. Nope, that's ice. We're able to see the ice coverage from satellite. It just really depends if we have a good clear day to kind of pick up on that. So you can see coming into the outer bay, we don't have good development there. Of course, kind of keep in mind that with satellite, we can see some of the cracks in there. I know we were reporting that much of Lake Erie was covered, but that they were seeing some cracks coming in from Canada to Cleveland. That's where we're going to be really eyeing some ice safety as we get into the forecast going into the weekend. So we will talk about the weekend and also some of the icy conditions coming up in just a little bit. I am going to take a real quick 1-minute break and we'll be back in 60 seconds. And welcome back. So we are going to be keeping an eye to the conditions here. Of course, that Great Lakes ice coverage is something that we're really going to be monitoring closer towards the weekend. Taking a look at the map that we have here of some of the ice coverage, this is going to be for the bay. So let me bring that up for you. So you can see here that we do have mainly fast ice. So what was looking like good coverage on satellite, a lot of the sensors are reporting that it is fast ice. And then into the outer bay, that coverage is a little bit closer anywhere from kind of the northern portion of the bay closer towards the northern shoreline. That coverage is around like 10 to 40%, and then it's a little bit better as we come around Caseville up towards Port Austin. But still, I would definitely be checking the thickness of the ice and also the quality of the ice. I understand now it's a little more comfortable when it's not so frozen outside, so it's great to have a kind of a good base layer of ice. But still, with us seeing temperatures into the 40s for quite a few days, and then also some sun into the forecast, that's really where I think that ice is going to be taking a little bit of a hit. So we just want people to be cautious while they are out there on the water. You will see that much of Lake Erie, as I had mentioned, was seeing at least the majority of the lake with ice coverage. That lake, of course, is a little more shallow, so it's easier to cover. We've had some good coverage here across Lake Huron, so very fortunate for ice fishers that we are seeing that ice kind of growing. Lake Michigan's been a little bit quieter. You can see kind of coming right across the southern portion of the lake on the south side. We've had some better ice coverage. We'd like to see more on kind of the northerly side. We do have some ice there, but it still just hasn't really been closed off enough to where that's why we still had some lake effect yesterday. So with Lake Michigan still being open for business with open waters, that means that lake effect in the forecast still just kind of holds on. Even Lake Superior didn't have that freezing over. It's kind of tricky these days to get kind of that full freeze over of the Great Lakes. That hasn't happened in quite a while. Also kind of keeping an eye to some of the seasonal numbers, because when we were looking at the forecast, I know that there was a lot of chatter about how is the winter going to go, and I've seen everything that says above average snowfall. So we did not issue a winter weather outlook because it's so tricky, because you can have just a lot of little snows that add up, or you can have one big snow that comes in. So you are going to find so far for folks that said we're just going to get smashed, we have La Nina. Maybe not really the case. So the average in Saginaw, typically by this point in February, note we only have a little bit more of winter because the winter season for meteorologists actually wraps up at the end of February. So we would anticipate that our normal average going through yesterday, because we still don't have all of today's data yet, but usually we sit at around 33.8 inches. And we are going to find so far we're only at 30.8 inches. So we're 3 inches below average. So still pretty close, but it is still below average. We are finding for Flint that we are above. So the lake effect has definitely been helpful coming off of that westerly wind. So we are seeing that at Flint Bishop Airport, that the average usually for through February 11th sits at about 35.4 inches, and we've measured 39.5. So just about 4 inches above. So we're not seeing a big swing there, but we are noticing, of course, that lake effect has added up this season, and it really has started to stack up for Houghton Lake. So typically at this point, their average is around 45.1 inches. They have measured 60.2 inches of snow. So that's really where we see kind of that biggest jump on the numbers. So when people are saying, oh, above average snowfall, we're just going to be smashed and kind of buried into the snow. Overall for Flint, Saginaw doesn't look like it, and Houghton Lake definitely picking up on a little bit more snow there. So as we kind of keep an eye on the snow and ski conditions, we are finding that a lot of these resorts are having to make their own snow. Mount Holly had a report of 9 new inches, so they must be working those snow guns kind of around the clock here during the night when it's a little bit colder to make snow. But still, some of the other resorts are pumping out about 1 inch to 2 inches. So a lot of their bases are still holding on. They're not necessarily really seeing kind of those numbers dropping all that much. So happy to see kind of that base of snow is still there for folks who want to go snowboarding or skiing, especially with the Olympics going on. We're probably inspired to do some of those winter sports. So you're going to find that it's still a lot of the lifts are open, a lot of trails are open. So it's still some good weather to do some skiing. It'll also help when it's not necessarily so chilly outside, so you might even break a sweat while you're having fun doing that. So maybe over the weekend you want to do a little bit of skiing. Maybe though that's what you and your sweetheart want to do. When we look at our Valentine's Day forecast, you're going to find temperatures into the lower 40s. We're going to be looking at some sunshine, so it'll be mild, sunny, pretty easy even if you just want to go outside for a walk. It's going to be a nice looking weekend overall. I kind of pull up a preview here of the weekend forecast. We're going to be right around 40 degrees on Saturday. I still have mostly sunny skies in. I have seen a little trend of some cloud cover picking up, but I'm still hoping to use my sunglasses on Saturday. Going into Sunday, we're still going to be keeping sun into the forecast. Temperatures going to be just a little bit warmer into the mid 40s. So it's going to be a beautiful weekend overall, feeling a little more warm. Southwest winds won't be all that strong, so they are going to allow for us to though pump in some of that more mild air. So it's going to start to feel like spring. If you also just need a little more inspiration on some spring vibes here, we do have the countdown on. Of course, we're only a couple of days away from Valentine's Day, but even the time change coming up in March is only 23 days away. So that's going to be here pretty quick. And we actually just almost a strong 3 weeks, but we are finding that St. Patrick's Day, we are 32 days away from that. So of course, we're getting close to that 1 month away mark. And then spring itself is only a few days after St. Patrick's Day. So astronomical spring is going to be starting in 35 days. So we are going to be finding a little bit more of that spring sensation, not only with maybe going to the store and seeing the decorations, but also just with those temperatures. Still today, we're into the lower 30s, but we do have those 40s coming in here through the weekend and into early next week. I also don't have any big snowmakers here. It's a pretty quiet forecast. We're just trying to keep the sunshine in, hoping those winter clouds are not hanging around. So it's pretty quiet. There are no big systems here in the next 6 days, but we are going to find Wednesday of next week. So in a week, we are going to be looking at some rain and some snow to be possible. Right now, it mainly looks to just be snow, or excuse me, rain at this point, just rain, but there's some snow. It's very close. There's a rain-snow line in it, and so just watching the placement of that low pressure system can quickly move that. So right now it looks to be on the warmer side, but considering we still have a week, that gives a lot of room for change to happen. So we're just watching that. We want to kind of leave the possibility of snow on the table, but overall we are going to be finding mainly rain to be here. Now that's all we had set up here for today. So hopefully though you can tune in tonight at 9 o'clock. First Alert Chief Meteorologist Chris Eastlake will be here at the desk. But thank you so much for joining me this afternoon, and we look forward to hanging out with you later on today at 4 o'clock on TV5.
Thank you for joining us. Today's stream has been brought to you by Lockhart Roofing.